Ed Sarpolus with the Michigan Education Association, the Director of Government Affairs, and made his name in polling, is on the other end of our line. Thanks for being available so early.
Good morning. I'm not proposing to anybody.
Okay, we'll get that out of the way early there, right away. Tell me this, though. Why is the latest poll showing that Rick Snyder has a gigantic 22% lead over Verge Bernero this morning? Snyder, 51%, Bernero, 29%.
Well, first of all, you have to look at these polls in reality. If you look at the previous polls that have been out, Snyder's at 51%. That has not changed. So all those polls showing is that since the primary, nothing has changed. The second thing you have to look at in this poll is the fact that nearly over half of the public doesn't even know who Verge Bernero is. And compared to some over 60% of the voters know who Rick Snyder is. So this poll, though Snyder definitely has a lead, his number really has not changed. And number two, Bernero still has not dominated the airways, either in media or coverage. And so what this poll is suggesting is before we know what's really going to happen, Bernero has to begin to make himself known to the voters of Michigan.
And what would be the most effective way for him to do that?
Well, first
a debate,
more
right?
News coverage. Rick Snyder's been almost in the media ever since the election, and Verge Bernero has been still comparatively much more silent. And the other thing, he's going to have to start advertising. He's going to have to get up on the airways, either radio, TV, or messaging. And I'm assuming Verge Bernero hopes that his announcement for lieutenant governor this week, the convention this weekend, will help him get known amongst his Democratic followers, at least get his base knowing who he is. Then he goes after the independent vote, and then in the end, hopefully, he in his mind, gets the moderate Republicans voting his way.
Well, all that takes is money, right?
That's all it takes.
He is admitting, Verge Bernero, that he's asked a number of people to run with him as the potential lieutenant governor candidates, and a lot of them have turned it down. I wonder why.
Well, a lot of the people he's been asking were essentially people who are not politically active. I mean, politically in the sense that they want to participate in running for elected office. He's been looking for people who are not traditional candidates. He's looking for business people, business women and men. He's looked across the state. So a lot of what he's been looking at is trying to look at the outsiders, those who bring something in his mind, something new to state government, maybe a business background or some other background that traditionally you would not be seen running for office. So I think as I looked at the list of names the newspapers have been covering, a lot of those were not your traditional people who would be considering running for office.
Mm-hmm. In other words, some of them might have to take a pay cut?
Yes, and some of them quite sizable pay cut.
Yeah, all it takes is money. Let me ask you,
right.
Do you have any idea what's going to happen at the Republican convention between Mike Bishop and Bill Schuette, the two who want to run for Attorney General? Is there any reason to sort of handicap that race one way or another?
Well, if you look at the tea leaves, and if you talk to everybody, everybody assumes the advantage is Bill Schuette's right now. I think what's happening in Oakland County, with the debate of delegates going to thing is very ruckus over there. So I would say that right now Republicans are trying to control the events down there, and I think that's why you see some of the rules change. It'll be interesting to see how this moves forward through the weekend.
The approval rating for President Obama in the state of Michigan right now is 44%. Does that surprise you?
No, it doesn't. The tracking polls have showed that over the last year, because of the economy, because of things since the perception of handling of the oil crisis in the Gulf, and number two, some of his comments on what's happening in New York City and the mosque. Bottom line is the public is right now putting things on hold on the perception of Barack Obama. Now, I can tell you this, polling showing that he's still relatively strong amongst Democrats. Where he's hurting is amongst the independent voters, which is very key to any election.
How disappointed must Governor Granholm be as she gets near the end of her second term to see a favorable rating of only 39%?
Oh, she can't be very happy. This was something as you departing governor, in her mind, and she believes that she's worked very hard, try to balance the budget, try to deal through an economic crisis over the last over almost 8 years now. She would assume that her numbers would be higher, but I would assume that if you listen to her and the party thing, she's look at the things that she has accomplished. She just wish more of the voters of Michigan knew about them.
Could the debates, whether there are going to be three or more between Bernero and Snyder, change that number? Could that be a game changer?
You mean the number between Snyder and Bernero? Yes.
Yeah.
Debates do make a difference. You got to remember at this time here, Dick DeVos had a sizable lead over Governor Granholm, and so the same thing happened in previous elections. And so this is not unusual that at the beginning of this phase that the candidate that was dominant in the media name recognition would have a lead. The question was, will Bernero get his name recognition up there? And that basically debates could change things.
So once Mayor Bernero finds a running mate, job 2 is going to be getting serious about having these debates.
Oh, very so. The more debates, the better for Virgil Bernero, and Brooke Snyder is going to try to avoid debate. The polls show, the numbers show the fact that the less that he would debate, it doesn't give the advantage to Bernero to point out Rick Snyder's weaknesses. And so Snyder wants to debate. Bernero wants to debate because he's the underdog.
I thought the mayor had a pretty funny line yesterday. They were both at the Sandbox convention at the Breslin Center. It was a big sort of convention to draw attention to children's issues and education issues. And they missed each other. They were both there but 30 minutes apart. And they said to Bernero, you just missed Rick Snyder by 30 minutes. And you know what he said? He said, good thing, because if we had met, he probably would have counted that as the first debate, and we'd have only 2 more to go. He is witty.
That does show Fritz's sense of humor. And I think if it stays like this through the election, it might be a change of pace here in Michigan for gubernatorial politics, that it doesn't get so down and dirty so early. Well, actually, it could have gotten dirty in the Sandbox, but that's a different story.
Thank you very much for the chat this morning, Ed Sarpolus. We'll talk again soon.
Bye-bye.
All the best to Ed Sarpolus.